Hi everyone, I haven't done a video for a while in regards to the deck project, so I thought today I would bring you up to speed with where we're at. Still sort of a long way to go, but not really. We've sort of got, I guess we got the majority of the structural work done. It's just more or less all the finishing off bits and pieces now, which sort of take time. So I'll give you a quick look at it and then I'll go through what I've done and what we still need to do. So that's the deck. I've got my patio swing up there just for the moment. I've actually been using that as a sunshade. I've taken the seat off and used that for a sunshade whilst we've been working on it. We've been screwing down all the boards. So we've screwed down all the edge right along there. Here, and along here. We still have two cross braces, one here and one in the center over here. Now we thought we could get away with not putting anything in there, but when we walk on it we can sort of hear that looseness in there, so we are going to run a row of screws along both those beams again. Well, not again, but we're going to run row of screws along those beams. Everything's come up fairly decent here. Got a little bit of a kink in this pipe. I didn't have any more room to move it back because I've got the metal framework here for the decking, so that pipe's as far back as it could go. I could probably get 1 or 2 mil, but it's not worth cutting into the boards to get 1 or 2 mil. It is what it is. I was thinking about actually getting my plugging chisel out and plugging out some of this mortar. See if I can slide the bracket out a little bit, and that'll bring this top section out, which will make this look like it's in line with this. So that's an option. I can sort of bring that. You can see it's loose, but I just can't bring it out. So I might bring that out and see if I can do something with that. But yeah, this all has to be painted. As you can see, we've painted the fence. We've done that in a what do they call it? I've got it here. I think it's called Bushlands Grey or something like that. Let me have a look. Got the can upside down. I've just been sort of mixing. Woodlands Grey. Woodlands Grey. It's called. So I've got to thank my brother-in-law for this. He's supplied both cans of a 4 litre and a 10 litre to me from jobs that he's done, that's leftovers, so it hasn't cost me anything for the paint. So we decided before laying the deck down, we'll get the fence painted, because I didn't want to get any overspray on it that, you know, it's going to be hard enough to sand this back as it is. I didn't want to have to be sanding paint that got into the grain of the timber, and just making the job twice as hard. So we decided to paint the fence, even though it won't be seen, because we're going to put a fake wall up here which will go as high as the eaves. So it's going to be probably, what's that, not quite half a metre above the fence line. That'll go along here. It'll go along here. Be a nice feature. Maybe some big, thick, round bamboo poles, or some weather bond, I think they call it, colour bond cladding that we can use for the wall. The jury's out on that at the moment, until I decide what I want. We'll just stick with the fence. But that got painted. Brother-in-law gave me that can last week. I didn't think I was going to have enough, because I needed to save some to paint those gables. So out of the 4 litre can, I kept a third of it to paint the front and rear gables, and thought I would just have to go out and buy some more to do this section, and maybe even beyond here, beyond the fence, this gate. But I've got a 10-litre can there now, so it's worked out perfect. So thank you to my brother-in-law. I'm going to have a crack at this today. Going to get this all painted up. As far as the shed, I've had a bit of an idea that I might take this bamboo reeding off, because once it fades it looks terrible. It looks old and it droops, and I was thinking about painting the entire side of that shed in this Woodlands grey, so that the theme sort of continues along. And then I might do something here with the brick wall as well. I might buy a sheet of blue board and actually cut the blue board out to go over the brickwork as far as the back door, and also paint that in Woodlands grey as well. So don't know yet. These are all sort of maybes. It would look nice. As you know from previous vids, we got to paint all the window frames. They're all got to be done black. All above the windows, all this timber work has to be done black. So back door's already done. So you know, I've still got to go around the entire house and do all the window frames and the boards above. But we'll get there, slowly. Today I fitted these. These were some stainless steel posts that I got from work. They were off a X-Display stand or unit at work. They were throwing them out, and I thought, hey, I'll grab them. I'll use them one day for something. And they had a C-channel, an aluminium C-channel riveted to the side of them. So I just drilled that out and took it off. All this white stuff will come off with a good polish. And I'm going to run my stainless steel cable between the posts, the turnbuckles, so that'll look really nice. I'm going to buy a nice wide Merbau plank. That'll basically come across here, it'll stop here, then it will continue on along here, and then all the way to the fence. I'm actually going to see if my brother-in-law will give me a hand with that, because he's the carpenter of the family, and I've got to get it spot on. I can't afford to fuck this up, so you know, we've got threads here, so we basically need to countersink the timber and put in some countersunk hex key flush finish bolts and get it all right. Like I could do it, but stuff it. You know, that's what you got a brother-in-law for. So yeah, he can. My sister will make him come around and do it. So he can take care of that for me, which will be good. What else have we done? Oh, I've measured up for the step here. I'm going to come out 300 mil. I'm going to have 4 legs on the step. So the step will technically not be welded to the actual deck itself. I'm going to have it as a bolt-on unit so that it can always be removed if need be. I don't know for what reason, but I just figure if you can bolt it on, don't weld it on. Because when you think about the step coming out 300 mil, and that's your back door, you never know. Might need to get something in through the back door, and that step just gets in the way, and you need to remove it. So it's not going to make no difference, a double weld or a couple of bolts, you know. What else? As you can see, we've put plastic underneath the decking. We did this not so much for waterproofing or anything like that, but pretty much to kill the grass off. In this area, the soil tends to retain seed, and you tend to get a lot of weeds coming up. As you can see here, got weeds growing up underneath the plastic already. I'm hoping to, by depriving them of sunlight and water, which I don't know maybe with plastic you get condensation, but depriving them from sunlight, I'm hoping to kill off any growth that was underneath the deck. And then what I'll do is I'll just poison the edges here with some weed killer, and make sure that I get no weeds coming up from underneath the deck. And eventually one day I'll be able to pull that that plastic out. I'll just be able to unscrew the bottom board off this side and just pull the plastic straight out. So that'll be good. It's just a temporary measure, because I know from poisoning my driveway, from poisoning all the weeds in my driveway, they'll be back in a couple of weeks. So this is almost like putting down what do they call it, weed matting in a way. But I got the plastic, I already had the plastic, so it cost me nothing, so that's a bonus. Along the edge here, we've got to run along here with a probably a belt sander, just to make sure everything's nice, everything's nice and flush. You know, I cut everything to measurement. You know, I scribed or penciled a line underneath everything, and then cut everything on the drop saw. But you know, a lot of these boards were twisted, so by the time you actually forced them back into position, you got a little bit of overhang, and you know, there's a couple of boards, especially up this end, where we haven't screwed it down yet. Reason being, the drill bit went blunt, and all the PH2 drill tech bits that we had, we snapped them all. This steel is so hard to drill into, even when we pre-drill it and we use these self-tapping galvanized screws, we break the heads off them. We've probably broken the heads off about 25 screws throughout the deck. But the good thing is that the hole that we pre-drilled was smaller than the actual shaft of the screw, so the screw is still biting into the timber. It's still biting into the timber, so we're not going to worry too much about it, especially in this corner, because the hot tub comes out 1.8 by 1.8, so anything that we've broken off in this area, any of the heads of the screws, will be underneath the hot tub. You'll never see them, and the weight of the hot tub will keep it down anyway. I guarantee it will never move in 100 years. For every screw we broke, and there's 2 screws per board, there's 1 screw that did go in, so it is actually holding or being held by 1 screw, and then by 1 shaft of a screw. So I'm not particularly bothered. You know, it's been frustrating enough. I'm not going to get all freaked out about it. It's just one of them things. It's one of them things. So I'm thinking about using some wood filler, actually filling all the screw holes, all the screws over, before I sand the entire deck. I think it would come up nice. As you can see here, we've got a row of screw holes, or nail holes, which were all pre-drilled for my father's deck back in the day. You know, I could fill all those as well, fill everything, but then you start to get a deck that looks a little bit like spotty, you know what I mean? If you don't get the colour right, it looks like a leopard. So I'm just wondering whether I should just fill the actual 7 lines of screws, because obviously 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here, but we've still got this cross brace to do, and we've got this cross brace to do. So there'll actually be 7 rows that we need to fill. So I'm not sure yet. I hope I never have to pull this up. And so I don't see any reason why I couldn't fill them. I've got to put the eye bolt in that post up there, and I've got to make the mounts to come off the roof up here. I've got a piece of bar down here, nice thick piece of bar. I've got actually several pieces of this in the shed. This was some stuff I got from work that they were throwing out, nice and thick. So what I'm basically going to do is cut this to length, whatever length I need, and then weld that to a piece of right angle, which will then get bolted through the roof truss. This bar will come out through the tiles. It'll be obviously siliconed around the exit point so it doesn't leak. And then one of these eye bolts will go through here on whatever angle we need, whether it's straight up or on an angle, and that will go through there, and that will be our anchor points for the shade sail. So I'll take you in here and I'll show you what we got. So this got delivered 2 weeks ago. So we've got this shade sail. It's a 3.6 by 3.6 meter shade sail, which is ideal for that area. Even though my decking is 3.8 by 3.6, we have to take into consideration the length of the eaves on the house. So this is actually not like a shade cloth type material. This is actually like a fabric. It's UV protectant, it's weatherproof, it comes with I think it's a 5-year warranty against UV degradation. So it's made in China, but with 5 years I can't complain. I bought a set of decking lights. Was very surprised by the size, but this seems to be what they're using now, seeing everything's gone to LED. They're very, very tiny. There's 10 of them in this box. They're very, very tiny, very delicate, and that's actually going to be good. I like that, because if you can't, you know, you're not going to trip over them. You're not going to take much notice of them, but they will throw out the right amount of light. Came with the transformer and everything. I think the whole package cost me about $53 for the lighting package, and $45 for the shade sail. So I'm very happy with that. I chose this colour for the shade sail because it's very close to the brickwork, and because we've got lots of grey now on the roof and the guttering and the fascias, I needed to sort of pull away from that grey and sort of maybe integrate some of the brickwork colour. So that's why we went with this colour, or I went with that colour. So that's, yeah, I'm happy with that. And yeah, I'll explain how I bolted these down. What I did is I bought some threaded rod. It was 920 millimeters long. I don't know why they make them in an odd size like that. I don't know why they just don't make them a meter. But 920, so I just divided it up by 8 posts and cut it at whatever that works out at, 115 mil, I think. And I bought 8 nylock nuts and 8 washers, and cut the bar at 115 mil and drilled through the deck and through the frame, and put the nylock nuts onto the thread first, clamping it in the vise in the section that would pass through the tube, so I didn't have any problems with thread damage. And then just screwed them up into the post, which already had a plate in there with a thread in it, and that's pulled them down beautifully. There's no way in a million years they're going to go anywhere. These were the original adjustable legs that would have been on the display units. I couldn't use them, unfortunately. They were too short. They would have been ideal, but they were just too short. Because it would have been easy just to weld a nut to the bottom of them and do the same thing and just go straight up through the frame and the woodwork. But yep. But I got one out just to sort of use as a device, just to make sure that there was no debris in the thread. Just wind them in, wind them out. So that's worked out good, you know. I'm happy. As for here, there are restrictions in Australia when it comes to, or regulations in Australia when it comes to pools and spas and you know, backyard water features, and the type of fencing that you need to put around it so kids don't drown. You know, these cables will have to be set at a certain distance apart in order for it to meet regulations. So, you know, I didn't get a permit for this, and I believe anything that you build under $5,000 within Victoria, you do not need a permit for. That is my understanding of the regulations. This has well and truly cost me under $5,000. This has only cost me $1,000 to build this. It's freestanding, so it's not attached to the house, so it's freestanding. So we should be right, but I still want to stay within regulations, because if I ever sell the house, I need it to pass. Here, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I would need to put some sort of gate on here if I sold the house, not necessarily when I'm living in it, because I've got no kids, so no one's going to come in here. And the hot tub has a cover on it, which will remain on it to keep all the debris out, all the leaves and dirt and anything else that wants to venture into the pool to take a bath, like birds and maybe the odd cat that falls off the fence. So what I'm thinking about doing is, I have left a 15 millimeter lip here. I'm thinking about putting maybe a sliding gate on there, rather than have one that hinges out, which comes out, I think it's an 1150. Let's have a look. I've actually got the measurements here. I think, no, I didn't write it down. Okay, so I believe it's about 1150 between there. So rather than have a gate that swings out all the way out here to 1150, I might just make a gate and put it on track and slide it back this way. I've got that nice lip to run the track. The gate doesn't have to be very thick. There's no specifications on thickness, there are specifications on height. 1.2 meters is the height. These are 1.2 meters, so I got very lucky on that. But yeah, I'm thinking about a track system, running that along there, and just having a sliding gate type setup here, which will be nice. I think that'll work really well. I've got a little bit of timber left. I've got this stuff here is actually to box in this section here. I've only got 3 lengths, unfortunately, to do there, so I need another length, and I have nothing for the other side. Actually, I have a piece. I do have a piece in the garage that I'm attempting to straighten out. It's got a few bows and stuff in it, and I've been wetting it down and putting weights on it and trying to get it straight. So I probably will have enough to finish this off, and maybe a little bit for the step. But I need to buy 4 lengths, 4 3.6 meter lengths for here to box all this in. So that will get bought during the week when this timber for the top gets bought. So by next weekend, it should be coming together even more. It should be looking more finished. I might have to borrow, I don't have a belt sander. I have a third sheet sander, but my brother-in-law has a belt sander, so I might get him, if he's got some time, to come over and just run the belt sander right along this edge and get it all nice and level. So when we put the Merbau up against the when we put this up against the top here, everything will be in line. As you can see, we've got a couple sticking out there, we've got a couple under. I'll bring that up from underneath. Whoops, get this to sit right. It doesn't want to sit right for me. You'll see there's a couple of them that are a little bit long. I'm only talking about millimeters, so you know you can stuff up on a drop saw by a millimeter or two, depending on whether you cut down the line to the left of the line or to the right of the line. So I'll just get him to buzz that along there, and then we can screw this on and we get a nice clean fit on this side. And then on this side, it'll differ. It'll actually go underneath, so we get a flush fit from underneath on this side. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, why didn't you do the same there? I could have, but it didn't work. It didn't work across the span of the floor. The boards have worked absolutely perfect, or as close as I could get to perfect. As you can see, we used the same spaces all the way along, and this is pretty much flush with the frame. So we ended up with a 15mm overlap here. Yes, I could have moved it to the other side, but I opted to bring it to this side, and we're going to have the overlap here. You won't really notice, it much here. The only place you're going to see it is sort of maybe right on this corner if you're looking for it, but it's neither here nor there. So that's where we're at with the deck, guys. It's been very frustrating. We've gone through about 6 drill bits trying to drill all these holes. I've busted so many drills. The tech bits, try and put the screws in. I used to work for a tool company. I had hundreds of them. I don't know how many we've broke. I don't know why these screws are so resistant to go into this this galvanized steel even after they're pre-drilled. We're pre-drilling them with the right size drill, and it's still, the screws are still resisting and snapping at the heads. So you know, it's real frustrating. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up as I'm talking. So I've snapped a heap of them. When I had to drill out these big holes for these bolts today, I actually, where was it? I think in this one here. I didn't even break through the surface of the top of the steel, and I snapped a brand new 10.5mm drill bit. It had never ever been used. Brand new. It just bit in, spun the drill out of my hand, and just snapped the drill bit into 3 pieces. It's real hard stuff to drill into, Duragal. I don't know why. I wouldn't think the galvanized coating would put up such resistance, but it seems to. Compared to, say, the blue coated mold steel, it's just really tough. So you know, but we're 95% there with screwing the deck down, so we're nearly finished with all the drilling and screwing we need to do. And I'm going to get stuck into this fence now. I'm going to blow some paint on that, and I'll give you a look at what that looks like once I'm finished. You can see the difference, you know, between the 2 sections. already. You know, it's come up fairly nice. Already got bloody mud on it. So yeah, pulled a plant out of here, a shrub. So that's good, I got rid of that. I had to replace 2 boards on the fence that was split, so I've done that. I pulled all the trees back so I don't have any issues when I try to get in there to paint it. Okay guys, I got the fence finished, so it's all painted up now. Looks pretty good. Painted right into the corner there. Painted down the side here too, sprayed the gate as well at the same time. So I've only gone as far as the hot water service here. I will do the rest later on, but for now that's good enough. So it's all painted. Looks a lot cleaner.